Hi everyone. It's been a year since I traded in my plug-in hybrid car and purchased an all-electric 2020 Chevy Bolt EV. And what I'd like to offer here is just a little bit on what the experience has been over the past year in driving this particular car. I'd like to start off by offering some basic information about the car. First of all, the Chevy Bolt EV is an all-electric, and under normal circumstances, General Motors advertises a range of about 260 miles, which is pretty good considering the price point that this car is available in. We use the car mostly for our day-to-day local driving. We just choose not to get involved in charging out in the wild by taking it on long road trips. We have a gas car that we use in those situations. So far, we've in this first year, we've put on about 12,500 miles on the car, so that's roughly 1,000 miles a month. And a typical day for us involves about a 50-mile round trip, just driving locally to the store and that type of thing. The furthest we've been with the car was to Chesapeake City, Maryland, which is about 100 miles round trip, and the car can easily do that with the range that's available. I usually recharge the car to about an 85% level every 2 or 3 days. It's not recommended that you charge these cars to 100% unless you're going to charge it to 100% and get in and drive it. But to charge it to 100% and leave it sit there is not considered good for the battery. So I always charge to an 85% level, which in the summertime gives me a range of about 240 miles. And in the wintertime, that might drop down to about 180, 190 miles. Obviously, driving any vehicle doesn't come free, and certainly driving electric isn't free as well. So just to give you a little bit of information here, the advertised 260-mile range on a full battery that General Motors provides is based on a efficiency level of about 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. Now, if you notice in the upper right-hand corner, the My Chevrolet app shows a lifetime efficiency of about 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour. So overall, I'm doing very slightly less than the typical average that General Motors publishes. In the summertime, that average efficiency runs well above 3.9. In fact, right now it's running over 4. In the wintertime, of course, that has a detrimental effect on the battery, and I'll be lucky if I get around 3.0 miles per kilowatt hour. So the overall average, according to the app, is about 3.7 right now. And of course, all of these numbers depend an awful lot not only on the weather and all, but also on your driving style, the speed that you're driving, and on the terrain as well. All of this factors in there and has an impact on your efficiency. We've been finding that more and more places have what I call a courtesy charger, which is a level 2 charger and will give you about 25 miles per hour that you're plugged in there. But the main thing is a lot of them are free. So you go to the shopping mall, you go to places like Longwood Gardens, and you plug in for an hour or two, and you pick up some free electric, if you will. So what I'm going to show here in this analysis will be what the maximum is, regardless of the fact that I may have picked up some free electric along the way. In order to answer the question on how much did we spend on electric this year to recharge our car, I'd like to start off by talking about our variable electric rate, which at the moment is somewhere around 8 cents per kilowatt hour. In actuality, it's slightly less at the moment, but it can change every 6 months. So 8 cents per kilowatt hour is a pretty good number for the variable cost part of our electric bill. What that means is at the efficiency level of 3.7, I ended up spending or purchasing 3,378 kilowatt hours of electric to recharge the battery in our car. And if you take that 3,378 times the 8 cents per kilowatt hour, that means I spent somewheres around $270 for the year to recharge the battery, or to put it in monthly terms, it's around $23 a month. So it's hardly noticeable, but it is there on a typical month. If you factor that out on cents per mile, that means that to drive that 12,500 miles with an electric car, just looking strictly at the energy cost, it ended up costing us about 2.2 cents per mile, which is pretty darn low. The second most common question that people ask me is just how much money did you save on gas? So in order to estimate that, we've got to make some assumptions. So let's assume that the typical gas car averages about 30 miles per gallon, and that the cost of a gallon of regular gas is about $3.20 a gallon. In our area, it's actually slightly more than that, but that's good enough for the purposes here. So if we do some light duty arithmetic, we take 12,500 miles divided by the 30 miles per gallon. That means we would have consumed about 410 gallons of gas. And at $3.20 a gallon, that means we would have spent about $1,315 for the year. Now, if you subtract the $270 that we did spend on electric, that means we saved somewheres around $1,000 in gas. Now, that's just purely for the cost of energy and driving the car. There are other things involved that we saved on, such as no oil changes and all that kind of thing. So in conclusion, there are additional savings besides gas that you can get with an electric car, such as no oil changes, reduced brake wear because of regen braking, courtesy chargers, that type of thing. But in my humble opinion, the savings on these cars will not offset the additional cost of purchasing one of them. Now, maybe someday that's going to change, but for now, if you buy an equivalent sized and type of gas car, it's generally going to be quite a bit cheaper than buying an electric version of it. So the question becomes, why did I bother? Basically, I purchased this car because I wanted to experience the technology. I wanted to learn about it as well because it does seem to be the coming thing, if you will. And I've always had a tendency to be enamored by the latest and greatest and learning about the things that are coming out there. Frankly, I love the instant torque that these cars provide. I have a whole bunch of different options on this particular car that, I've really gotten to like. And just basically, I like the size of the car, and it's just plain fun to drive. I highly encourage you, whenever you get a chance, to talk to somebody about an electric car, and if possible, take it out for a spin just to see what we're talking about. So, in the meantime, thanks for visiting the web page here, and we'll catch you on the next one.